Marcus had always known that being blind made life different, but he had never let it slow him down. The world to him was not seen with eyes but felt with every other sense. Sounds, smells, and even the faint vibrations in the floor beneath his feet gave him more than enough information to move, to understand, to live. And now, as a participant in the Interstellar Confederation's exchange program, he was about to step into a world where other humans and aliens alike would underestimate him. The space station shimmered with light and sound, a vast hub where dozens of alien species mingled. Marcus felt the hum of engines through the floor panels and the echo of conversations in dozens of languages around him. The program coordinators had told him he would be paired with an alien sibling for the purpose of learning about alien cultures firsthand. Marcus didn't mind who his sibling was. He was more curious about the world and the people or creatures within it. When he was led to the docking chamber, Marcus could hear the subtle differences in the way his companion moved. The pace was slow, deliberate, almost cautious. He smiled slightly to himself. Humans might judge appearances instantly, but he had his own way of understanding people. "Hello," a voice said. It was soft but confident with a slight rasp, almost musical. "Hello," Marcus replied. "You must be my sibling." "Yes," the voice answered. "I am Zorla." There was a pause. Marcus sensed hesitation, uncertainty in the cadence of her speech. It reminded him of someone trying to make themselves smaller, as if the world had told her she didn't belong. He tilted his head slightly, curious. "You sound unsure," he said. "Are you nervous?" "Perhaps a little," Zorla admitted. "Not everyone is happy to be paired with me." Marcus chuckled softly. "I've never been happy or unhappy about appearances. I prefer to know what someone feels, what they think, what they do." There was silence for a moment, and then he heard the faintest sigh. "No one has said that to me before." They began walking together along the corridor. Marcus extended a hand to guide himself, and Zorla fell into step beside him, careful not to crowd him. He noticed the rhythm of her movements, the small adjustments she made as she navigated around other travelers. Unlike most others in her species, she moved with attentiveness, not arrogance. "I suppose they expected you to ignore me," she said quietly, "or to leave as soon as you saw me." "I don't see you," Marcus said plainly, "but I do hear you, and that's enough for me." Her laughter was soft and unexpected, a sound that seemed to ripple gently through the corridor. "You are unusual for a human," she said. "Perhaps," he replied, "but unusual can be useful. You'll find it opens doors you never thought existed." As the hours passed, they explored the station together. Marcus relied on his other senses to guide him, while Zorla explained the lights, the shapes, the displays, and the different species moving around them. She pointed out the subtle differences in accents, the rhythms of conversation, and even the faint vibrations from nearby engines that humans would never notice. Marcus absorbed every detail, asking questions that led to explanations about culture, history, and technology. Zorla, in turn, began to relax. She spoke freely, pointing out details that no one else seemed to notice. How a particular alien's voice quivered when nervous, how the direction of a starship's hum indicated the type of engine it used, how the smell of recycled air changed when someone tampered with the environmental controls. Marcus listened intently, impressed by her observations. "You have a sharp mind," he said. "I have too," she admitted. "No one else notices the details. If they did, they might see the flaws in me." Marcus frowned slightly. "Flaws?" She hesitated, then sighed. "My species values appearances above all else. I do not meet their standards. They call me ugly." Marcus smiled gently. "I cannot see you, so I cannot judge your appearance. But I can tell you this. Your thoughts, your curiosity, your humor, these are what matter. That is what I notice, and that is what I value." For the first time, Zorla sounded uncertain, as if testing whether he was sincere. "Even if I am different." "Different is better than perfect," Marcus replied. Perfect often hides weakness, different gives insight. They laughed together, and in that laughter a connection formed. While others in the station passed them by, casting sidelong glances, Marcus and Zorla discovered a rhythm, a partnership. She began to speak more freely, describing her ideas about starship design, interstellar maps, and ancient alien technologies. Marcus asked questions that made her think deeper, and she responded with answers that surprised even her. By the time night, or what passed for night on the station, fell, they had circled nearly every section of the docking hub. Marcus's adaptive senses mapped the place in ways that would take a sighted person days to achieve. Zorla's insight added depth, explaining what he could not perceive. Together, they had created a shared understanding of the station that felt like their own private world. As they rested on a bench overlooking the artificial sky of the station's observation deck, Marcus said, "I can feel the stars out there, even if I cannot see them. And I can feel that you are remarkable, Zorla. I suspect the Council will be surprised to see what we can do together." Zorla hesitated. "The Council does not expect you to value me. They gave me to you thinking you would notice nothing." "And yet," Marcus said, "we noticed everything together. That is more than enough." There was a long silence, filled with the soft hum of distant ships and the faint vibrations of the station. Zorla let herself relax for the first time in years, realizing that her companion did not see her as flawed. He saw her abilities, her mind, her essence. "I think I am beginning to understand you, Marcus," she said softly. "And I you," he replied. "Different is a gift, not a curse. Remember that." Somewhere in the distance, the alien council monitored the pair, expecting disappointment or disinterest. Instead, they saw an unusual collaboration forming, an alliance of human intuition and alien insight. It was a slow, subtle revelation, but one that would have consequences far beyond the station's walls. That night, Marcus slept lightly, sensing the gentle shifts of energy around the station. Zorla sat beside him, awake and thoughtful, reflecting on the first day with a human who did not judge her by appearances. In that shared silence, a bond began to grow, a bond built on curiosity, understanding, and mutual respect. By the time the station's artificial morning arrived, Marcus and Zorla had learned something crucial. Appearances were never the measure of value. Insight, courage, and empathy mattered far more. And together, they would discover just how powerful those qualities could be when applied across the stars. Marcus extended a hand to guide them toward the docking bay for the next day's exploration. Zorla took it without hesitation, a smile in her voice. "Lead the way, Marcus." "After you, Zorla," he replied. And so, two unlikely companions set out to explore the unknown, each unaware of how much they would teach the other, and how much the galaxy would take notice of the human who saw with more than eyes, and the alien who was too clever to be judged by looks alone. The next day, Marcus and Zorla moved through the bustling corridors of the space station, with a quiet confidence that made them almost invisible to the casual observer. Yet for those who paid attention, there was something unusual about the pair. The way Marcus navigated the station without sight, and the way Zorla anticipated his every step was unlike anything the alien council had expected. They reached the docking bay, where ships of countless designs and sizes lined up in neat rows. Each vessel had its own hum, its own rhythm. Marcus extended his hands, sensing the vibrations through the floor. "This one has a softer engine," he said, pointing toward a medium-sized cargo ship. "Its propulsion system is different from the others. Zorla, can you feel it?" Zorla crouched slightly, pressing her hand against the floor beside his. "Yes," she said, nodding. "It uses a harmonic resonance system, not common among the Confederation. I've read about it but never experienced one this close." "That is the advantage of being different," Marcus replied. "You notice things others miss," she smiled. "And you notice things I cannot perceive." Together, we might actually understand it fully. They were assigned to explore a newly discovered region of the galaxy, a stretch of space with uncharted planets, ancient ruins, and unusual energy readings. Their task was simple in description but complex in execution: gather information, record anomalies, and report back to the Council. What seemed like a routine assignment quickly became an adventure because of the unique skills they each brought. On their first ship, a sleek research vessel, Marcus guided them through the control room. He ran his hands along the console, feeling the tiny hum of circuits beneath the panels. Zorla read the symbols aloud, explaining the functions of switches and displays. "These are not like any standard systems," she said. "They operate on both energy pulses and sound frequency. A human with vision alone could not interpret this as quickly as you can feel it." Marcus chuckled softly. "And a species too focused on appearance might never even try to understand it. We are lucky to be different." As they began their journey into deep space, Zorla grew more comfortable with Marcus's way of perceiving the universe. She realized that the vibrations of the engines, the subtle hum of the ship, and even the faint pressure of gravity in different sections gave him information that she had never considered important. Together, they formed a system, each complementing the other. One day, while scanning an uncharted planet, their sensors picked up a series of unusual energy readings. Zorla examined the data carefully. "Marcus, the energy pulses here are irregular. They don't match any known natural phenomena." Marcus placed a hand on the ship's railing, closing his eyes to concentrate. He extended his other hand toward the console, feeling the vibrations. "They are patterns," he said slowly, "not random. Something has left a message or a record." Zorla's eyes widened. "A message? But from who? This planet is considered uninhabited." "Not necessarily," Marcus replied. "Some civilizations record messages in ways that are meant to last longer than sight. Sound, vibration, energy patterns. We might be the first to understand it in centuries." They worked together, Zorla analyzing the data visually and Marcus interpreting the vibrations through the ship. Hours passed, and they began piecing together a map, a guide to the hidden structures beneath the planet's surface. The excitement of discovery filled them both. Zorla felt a thrill she had never experienced. For once, being different seemed to be an advantage rather than a disadvantage. That night, as they rested in the ship's observation deck, Marcus spoke softly. "Do you see, Zorla, being different is not a weakness. It gives you a perspective that no one else can have." "I think I understand," she said. "I always thought my appearance made me less, but perhaps it is what made me notice these details, what gave me skills others never developed." "Exactly," Marcus said. "The Council may have made a mistake thinking you were unworthy. In fact, they might be very surprised by what we accomplished together." Their bond grew stronger with every shared discovery. They navigated asteroid fields using Marcus's sense of vibration to detect the position of massive rocks before the sensors could even process them. They decoded ancient alien symbols together, with Zorla reading and interpreting the shapes and Marcus feeling the subtle patterns in the engraving through his fingertips. Other crews often failed at similar tasks, but the combination of their skills produced results that were nothing short of remarkable. One afternoon, while exploring a series of cavernous ruins on a small, rocky planet, they encountered a puzzle that had confounded dozens of alien teams before them. Massive stone blocks, inscribed with symbols, shifted in patterns that seemed impossible to decipher. Other crews had abandoned the site, frustrated and defeated. Marcus reached out, feeling the vibrations of the stone through the ground. "These blocks are not random," he murmured. "They move with a rhythm. A pattern exists if you listen, not just see." Zorla crouched beside him, tracing the symbols with her fingers. I see that the markings correspond to energy frequencies. If we match them to your vibrations, we might unlock the mechanism." Hours passed as they synchronized the vibrations and the symbols. The blocks moved slowly, aligning to reveal a hidden chamber filled with ancient data crystals. Marcus let out a quiet laugh. "We did it." Zorla's voice trembled with excitement. "We really did it, and no one else would have seen the solution like this." This success began to attract attention from the Alien Council. Some members were curious, others skeptical, but all could not deny the results. Marcus's intuitive perception and Zorla's keen intellect complemented each other in ways the Council had never anticipated. As the days turned into weeks, their journey led them to a dense nebula, where star maps indicated ancient trade routes. They discovered remnants of technology and civilization that had been lost for centuries. Each discovery reinforced the lesson that what others dismissed as flaws or differences could be extraordinary gifts when applied correctly. One evening, as they floated above a glowing planet, Zorla spoke quietly. "I never imagined that being considered ugly could lead to this. I always thought it limited me. Now I see it opened doors." Marcus smiled. "And I never imagined that being blind could allow me to understand things others cannot. We are each uniquely equipped, Zorla. That is humanity, and that is you." They spent that night analyzing a complex set of alien glyphs that emitted low hums detectable only through vibrations. Marcus guided Zorla's hands as she traced the shapes. Together, they translated a portion of the message. It described a method for navigating through regions of space that were previously considered impossible to traverse safely. "Marcus," Zorla whispered, eyes wide, "this could change interstellar travel forever." No one else would have decoded this. "Exactly," Marcus said softly, "and it all started with us noticing what others ignored. It proves that value is never in appearances." Word of their success slowly spread across the Confederation. Aliens who had judged Zorla began to reconsider their assumptions. Reports described the human who could feel the universe, and his alien companion whose abilities had been underestimated. For the first time, Zorla felt a sense of respect from species who had dismissed her as unworthy. One day, as they prepared to return to the station with their findings, Marcus sensed a subtle change in Zorla. "You seem different today," he said. "I feel confident," she admitted. "For the first time I am proud of who I am, not in spite of it." Marcus reached out, tapping her shoulder gently. "You should be. You are remarkable, Zorla, and the galaxy is about to notice." Their return journey was filled with discussions about future explorations. They shared theories, debated strategies, and laughed freely. The bond that had begun with cautious steps and gentle words had grown into something solid and unshakable. Yet the Alien Council still watched, planning their next move. Some council members believed they could reveal Zorla's flaw publicly, expecting Marcus to be disappointed or embarrassed. They had not anticipated the strength of the partnership, the way human perception and alien insight could combine to surpass their expectations. As the station came into view, Marcus and Zorla felt a mixture of anticipation and resolve. They were returning not only with knowledge but with proof that differences could be extraordinary. They had seen wonders, deciphered secrets, and discovered abilities that others had overlooked. And for Zorla, the revelation was personal. She was no longer simply the ugly alien sibling. She was a vital partner, a discoverer, and a friend. She understood that the judgments of others mattered far less than the value of her own contributions and the recognition of someone who truly saw her. Marcus guided the ship gently into the docking bay, feeling the subtle vibrations of the station's energy fields. "We are home," he said softly. "Yes," Zorla replied, a quiet pride in her voice, "and I think they are going to notice us in a way they never expected." As the doors opened and the hum of the station filled the ship, both felt the anticipation of the next challenge. The council would soon learn that the human who could not see and the alien who had been judged could achieve feats no one else could. Together, they stepped out into the corridor, ready for whatever awaited them, each knowing that their bond and their abilities were more than enough to face the expectations and the prejudices of the galaxy. The station was alive with motion as Marcus and Zorla stepped out of the docking bay. Lights of many colors reflected off the metallic walls, while the hum of engines created a constant background rhythm. Despite the activity, their focus was on the council chamber. Today would be different. Today, the council would see the results of their work, and they would understand that appearances were irrelevant to true ability. Zorla adjusted the folds of her robe nervously. She had grown confident during their journey, yet the idea of standing before the council still caused a flutter of uncertainty. Marcus noticed it and placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "You are ready," he said. "We are ready. Remember, we do not need their approval to know our worth. We only need to show them what we can do." She nodded, drawing strength from his words. Together, they moved toward the grand doors of the chamber. The chamber itself was enormous, with floating platforms where the council members hovered in their assigned seats. Each member represented a different species, their appearances as varied as the stars. Marcus felt the vibrations of the chamber, noting the subtle shifts in energy as the council observed them. As they approached the central platform, the lead counselor spoke. "Human Marcus and alien Zorla, you have returned from your assignment. The council expects a full report." "Present your findings," Marcus smiled slightly. "We will." He motioned to Zorla, allowing her to begin. Zorla stepped forward, her voice clear and confident. "During our journey, we explored uncharted regions of the galaxy, deciphered ancient alien records, and mapped safe routes through previously impassable nebulae. But beyond these discoveries, we have learned something important about perception and value." She paused, letting her words resonate through the chamber. Abilities cannot be judged by appearances. What some call flaws may be the key to extraordinary insight. What some consider weakness may be strength when applied in the right way. A murmur passed through the council. Some members looked skeptical, others curious. Marcus sensed the shift and continued. "The ancient records we found contained complex energy patterns meant to communicate messages over centuries. Most species could not interpret them. Zorla's skills allowed us to recognize patterns, while I interpreted vibrations that conveyed information invisible to sight. Together, we unlocked knowledge that has been lost for ages." He placed his hand on one of the consoles set up for demonstration. "Observe." The console lit up, projecting holographic images of star charts, energy flows, and intricate symbols. The council members leaned closer, some stretching their wings or reaching out with tendrils to examine the display. Marcus and Zorla guided them through the discoveries, explaining each sequence in detail. "Notice here," Marcus said, "the path through the nebula. Other crews failed to navigate it because they relied only on visual data. The vibrations of the energy fields were crucial. With this understanding, safe passage is now possible for all Confederation vessels." Zorla added, "And here are the recorded messages of the ancient civilization. They were encoded in ways that required both energy interpretation and symbolic understanding. Alone, no species could decipher them. Together, we did." The council was silent for a long moment, absorbing the significance of their work. Then one member spoke, voice dripping with surprise. This is remarkable. We underestimated the human and the alien. We assumed one would judge by appearance and the other would be limited by perception. Yet, you have accomplished more than anyone expected." Another counselor, known for her strict adherence to appearance-based judgment, spoke hesitantly. "Zorla, your contributions, they surpass what anyone anticipated. Your appearance, which we judged as insufficient, has no bearing on your talent. How could we have been so blind?" Zorla felt warmth rise within her. She had never expected praise from those who had doubted her. "It is not appearance," she said softly. It is understanding, observation, and curiosity that matters. These are the qualities that allowed us to succeed. Marcus nodded. Exactly. Human perspective is often underestimated because it is not based on visual judgment alone. We perceive, we feel, we consider. These abilities complement skills that others may overlook. The council members murmured among themselves, some taking notes, others exchanging glances. It was clear that the preconceptions about Zorla and Marcus were being overturned. Then the lead counselor spoke again. You have shown us that true value lies not in appearances, but in thought, perception, and action. The Confederation will need to reconsider how we judge ability. Human ingenuity and alien insight together have achieved what none of us thought possible. Zorla smiled at Marcus. We did it, she whispered. Marcus smiled back. No, we did it together, and now the galaxy will notice. As the council reconvened for discussion, Zorla and Marcus were led to a private chamber to review the final data collected on their mission. The room was quiet, filled with soft hums and gentle lights. Zorla traced her fingers over a holographic map, feeling a sense of accomplishment she had never known. You know, she said, I never thought I could feel this proud of myself. Not for my appearance, not for what others expected, but for what I actually contributed. Marcus placed a hand over hers. You should be proud. You have proven something more valuable than any beauty standard could measure. You have proven that insight, creativity, and courage matter more than any outward trait. She laughed softly. And you, Marcus, have shown me that perception can be more powerful than sight. Together, they reviewed the messages and energy patterns again, noticing small details they had missed on the first analysis. Each discovery seemed to reinforce the lesson they had learned throughout their journey. Differences are strengths when recognized and applied. The next day, they were invited to a formal council session where their mission was officially recognized. Council members from multiple species gave statements, acknowledging the unique collaboration and the discoveries made possible by Marcus and Zorla. A young alien from a neighboring system approached them afterward. I have heard of your work, she said, voice trembling with excitement. I want to learn to work with someone like you. You have changed my view of what it means to be capable. Zorla smiled. And you can. Anyone can if they focus on understanding rather than judging. Marcus added, perception and insight are tools anyone can develop. Beauty or appearance does not determine ability. Empathy, curiosity, and collaboration do. As they left the council chamber, the station's hum seemed to echo their words. Across the galaxy, others would hear their story, and the lesson would spread. Judgment based on appearances was irrelevant when true understanding was applied. Later, as they stood together on the observation deck, looking out at the galaxy they had explored, Marcus spoke quietly. We have done more than complete a mission. We have changed minds, altered perceptions, and shown that value comes from the mind and heart, not the eyes. Zorla rested her hand on his arm. And we have done it together. I no longer feel like the one who does not belong. I feel like I am exactly where I am meant to be. They watched the stars in silence, feeling the vibrations of distant engines, the hum of light, and the pulse of energy that connected all things. The galaxy was vast, filled with unknown wonders, but they had learned that no obstacle was too great when perception and collaboration were applied. In the days that followed, Marcus and Zorla were asked to train other crews, to share their methods of sensing, analyzing, and collaborating. What had begun as a simple assignment became a model for interstellar exploration. Other species began to recognize that value came not from superficial standards, but from abilities, ingenuity, and mutual understanding. Zorla felt a quiet pride in herself, the kind she had never known. No longer defined by appearances, she had become a symbol of capability and perseverance. Marcus, blind but extraordinary in his perception, became a living example of humanity's unique strengths. Together, they inspired countless others to see beyond appearances and to focus on what truly mattered: intelligence, empathy, and courage. As they prepared for another mission into the unknown reaches of the galaxy, Marcus spoke. "There is still so much to explore, so much to learn, and together we can face it all." Zorla smiled, feeling the weight of confidence and friendship. Yes, together. And so, hand in hand, they stepped into the next adventure, ready to uncover the secrets of the universe, prove the value of perception, and show the galaxy that true worth is never seen with the eyes alone. It is understood with the heart, mind, and spirit. Their journey had started as a test, a pairing that others thought would fail. Yet, by embracing their differences, respecting each other's abilities, and trusting in insight over appearances, Marcus and Zorla achieved what no one could have imagined. The galaxy would remember not the judgment of the Council, but the brilliance of a blind human and an alien once deemed ugly, whose combined talents changed interstellar exploration forever. And in that, humanity and Zorla had triumphed.